Alright, the first thing we're going to do is the safety brief for the day. We always start off with the 4 cardinal safety rules. Every weapon is loaded, treated as such. Never assume a pistol or firearm is unloaded. Treat it with the utmost respect and care. Alright, never let your muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. That includes our own body parts, especially moving into awkward positionings, using vehicle sitting in front of the vehicle and whatnot. Your hand, covering your holster as you're trying to reholster. Alright, keep your fingers straight and off the trigger, outside of the trigger, until your sights are aligned with that target. You made that conscious decision to fire. And then the 4th cardinal safety rule is be aware of your target, basically a safe backstop. You like to say be aware of your entire surroundings, so what's forward of your target and what's after your target. When we're talking about close quarters, hands in front, whatnot. The next portion of the safety brief will cover range orientation. Obviously, we've got a 3-sided dirt berm range. We do have some concrete. You do have to be aware of your foreground and background here, depending on what we're doing shooting-wise, whether it be pivots, shooting from the prone and whatnot. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're not striking the metal elbows behind the target, so we need to make sure our backstop is clear for shooting on an angle at all. We want to make sure, obviously, we're not anticipating, we're not shooting the concrete or shooting the safety berm in front of the impact berm. Obviously, be aware of our left and right lateral limits, and because we have a 3-sided earth and embankment, we can kind of shoot into the side berms, but we also want to obviously make sure we're not shooting over the top of the impact berm. With the range safety brief, we cover the medical brief as well. In my truck, the 2nd black Dodge, alright, that'll basically be the med vehicle. Have a full trauma pack in the back seat of that vehicle, and you guys with your units with lights and woo-woos will basically escort anyone to the EMS or hospital should something arrive like that. If there is an injury, whether it's a rolled ankle, bee sting, a cut, a scrape, something worse, obviously if it requires immediate attention, we call ceasefire. Ceasefire, everyone echoes it and freezes on the range, and then we'll address the injury. Obviously, self-aid first, buddy aid, and then we'll get care if it's something that's serious. Alright, next part of the safety brief is weapon-specific safety rules. Today we're only shooting pistols, so obviously something specific to shooting pistols that could be inherently more dangerous than shooting a long gun is obviously the length of the gun. Alright, obviously we've got a very short muzzle. On our draw stroke, people sometimes want to keep their hand out here and they flag their hand as they go to match up their grip, or they want to try and feel their holster and they muzzle sweep their hand going back to their holster. Obviously you can get slide bit, things like that. Just, we always want to keep our fingers and hands away from the muzzle and abide by that 2nd cardinal safety rule. Never let your muzzle cover anything you're not willing to put a bullet through or destroy. When we're dealing with rifles, carbines of such, there are different inherent safety rules for that. Shotguns are different inherent safety rules, and we'll cater that to the drills if we use those weapon systems. The next part of the safety brief is drill-specific safety. We're going to be shooting the VATA Combat Classifier. It's a 10-stage classifier, starting from the 50-yard and working all the way into the 3-yard line. It involves prone shooting. It involves pivots, 180-degree pivots. It involves strong hand only, draw and engaging. It involves support hand only, drawing and engaging. Obviously, for each of those drills, we want to make sure that we're safe in how we approach those drills and how we handle them. Anytime we're moving from 1 yard line to another yard line dynamically within the qual, we obviously want to draw our weapon first. As we're running, keep that muzzle pointed toward our threat or battlefield space. If we're moving into the prone, we want to make sure we draw from the standing and move into the prone, and then stand up tactically, and then reholster after we've stood up. When we're covering support hand only draw, we're going to be using the knee transition to transition our support hand. We want to make sure that we sweep around our knee and not over our leg or our femoral, and just be safe, and we can kind of brief that as we get to each and every drill. And then the last part of the safety brief is the environmental safety brief. Obviously it's nice and cool out here today, but especially when it's hot, summertime, we always have to tell guys, push water, push little, pokey bait throughout the day, whatever it is, keep your body hydrated. Obviously sunblock. When we talk about sunblock, we talk about hands being slippery. If we are doing those support hand only draws and transferring back and forth hands, if you drop the gun, just let it hit the deck. Don't try and catch it in the air. Make sure we always constantly get on guys about staying hydrated. It is a little warm out there in the sun, so that's what we do. Also with the safety brief, if anyone's allergic to flies, if anyone has any allergies to bugs, bee stings, stuff like that, you know, let us know about that. Obviously, we have bug spray usually out here, especially in the summer months, especially during nighttime courses. And then for the range brief, we want to make sure we cover, you know, slipping hazards. If it's muddy out, if it's wet out, if there's a lot of brass on the concrete, usually we'll try to sweep that off the concrete. So as guys are coming to a stop on the concrete, they're not on that roller effect and fall on their ass. Obviously, if they fall, you know, muzzle in a safe direction, keep it pointed to them. That's, you know, always stay in the fight. Always maintain. We're out here on the square range training, but always maintain that battlefield mindset that you're in the fight. That's not a cardboard target. It's a guy trying to kill you.